Although I happen to take my cues from his daughter, Meghan McCain, who has also been particularly outspoken. I think she's incredible. I mean, she represents, I believe, the future of the Republican Party. And you only have to look as far as Meghan McCain, John McCain's daughter, and Steve Schmidt, who ran McCain's campaign, to say, you know, they are giving warnings to the Republican Party by saying, if you continue on this tirade against marriage equality and continue to appear to a majority of the American people as effectively a religious party, you will become the permanent opposition in this country, because people just don't want to fight these battles over narrow, socially divisive wedge.
Well, you know,
issues
it's interesting that what's his name, Eric Cantor's minority whip, who's Jewish, and the chairman of the Republican Party is now an African American. So take a look at that. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, everybody's screaming that they're conservatives, they're Rush Limbaugh followers, and they're all. But here you have Eric Cantor. He's a very prominent congressman, right, from Virginia. I'm sure you've met him. It's
always been a shonda in my family to be Republican and Jewish. I just don't understand it.
We have a few of those that I know, a lot of them. And there are many people, well, you know, if you want to go back in history with me, there are many people who believe that Richard Nixon, who called the Jews Kissinger anti-Semitic names, really saved the Yom Kippur War. I could testify to that. He is the guy that ordered the rearmament of the Israeli army during the Yom Kippur War. And if you talk to most Americans, Nixon is a hero to them. Believe me. Very staunch hero. You talk to most Israelis, George Bush is one of their greatest presidents. That's the way it worked out, because, you know, Bush really ostracized all the Arab communities. Now, there are many people who say that's very short-term thinking. But people think short-term, you know. Sometimes people go out and have affairs for a day, you know, and then that's a short-term thought. But my feeling is that when you have such a strong majority and you're the president, something's going to happen. It's too strong, you know. I'm not sure, because he nearly has a filibuster-proof Senate, and Congress, I'm sure, is with him. No one wants to fight Obama now. His popularity is enormous. He's the greatest celebrity on earth, and his wife is a huge celebrity. So it's a power couple that we've never seen here in such a long time. The question is whether he can stay strong in the foreign policy area we spoke about before. And that's something you don't know. I mean, it's a rough world out there, you know.
That's absolutely true. I mean, we're only one crisis away from a fundamental shift in people's attitudes with respect to foreign policy. But having said that, there's tremendous positive signs among the American people and in the economy. You know, we talked before, you got Bernanke being bullish, you have Geithner being bullish, Obama. The market is starting to rally, and the percentage of Americans who are satisfied with the way things are going in this country has doubled since he took office 100+ days ago. It went from 17 to 34. Now, there's still a lot more people who are dissatisfied than satisfied, but Obama understands that he has and will likely have to spend some political capital, and he's got it. But I would tell those in Congress would be very wise to challenge him on the margins where they feel that they might be able to win. But when you have Congress at a 28% approval rating and the president almost 40 points ahead of that, they'd be well to just sort of go along for the ride.
But you have a left wing in the party that's very adamant also, and if they see troops going in, they're going to be very adamant about it. They're not going to like it. And that's where they might chip away at him. But again, if his popularity stays where it is, that also depends upon where employment goes. If unemployment starts to come down a little bit, then people start feeling better. Then that left wing says, you know, it's more important to have the economic issue solved than worry about what's going on in Afghanistan. But he has to worry about it. My feeling is that I'll bet you that he talks to George Bush very secretly now and talks to him about how they handle the war. My guess, it's Leon James'
I would think and hope that all current presidents
They all
talk
do.
regularly
They
with
all
former
do.
presidents, and certainly Bush and
They all
Clinton
do.
talked fairly regularly as well.
They all do, and at one time I thought, and I once asked President Carter about this, I think they all get a briefing every day from the
Yes,
State
they do.
Department, and they're well informed, and it's sort of having like a House of Lords, you know, and it's really one gang together now. I mean, there's not many ex-presidents. And, you know, he's had an experience that no one else has had. He's had terrorism to fight, Bush. So I'm sure you don't hear much about him at all, you know. You really don't hear about Bush.
About George W.?
Nothing.
Well, I mean, typically presidents, particularly ones that have just left office, are very quiet.
Yeah, but look at Cheney.
In the first 6 months. You know, Cheney would, I think, do well to follow his boss's mold. I don't think he is helping the Republican Party at all.
You know why I think he's doing it? I think he's angry that Scooter Libby was not pardoned. I really believe that. I don't understand why Bush didn't do it, but I'm sure that Cheney is angry at Bush for not doing it.
And he's also got a thin skin. I mean, this is a guy who I think has been rightfully blamed for a lot of the ills in that administration, and feels that now that he is unencumbered by the office of the vice presidency, he can go out and try, from his perspective, to rewrite history. But I think history will ultimately judge the vice president fairly harshly.
You know his name you never hear? Donald Rumsfeld. He must be selling derivatives for Lehman Brothers or something. You never hear about this guy. Rubby, I never hear about him. All right, we got a couple of seconds left. There's a governor's race probably in this state. Not probably, there will be. Does Patterson have a chance? Who's going to run? Do you know anything?
If I were Andrew Cuomo, I would be very happy right now. If I were David Patterson, I would be completely reshuffling my team and how I approach the office. I mean, his stunning fall is frankly a real tragedy, because the guy has got, I think, a lot of potential. And unfortunately, between the Caroline Kennedy mess, which sort of exposed huge gaps in judgment and strategy.
What happened there? Do you know?
I do, but to suffice it to say, it was played out in the press over an extended period of time when it was something that should have been done privately.
Why did he turn it down?
My understanding is that ultimately she turned it down. But it was played out in a way that was bad for everybody involved, and was a lesson in how not to handle oneself. And I think that caused a lot of people to question his judgment.
Who's the new senator? You don't hear much about her at all.
Kirsten Gillibrand.
Is she going to win again?
I believe that she will have a very strong challenge, and I don't think
Maloney. Who's going to do it?
I think there's a number of people that have been mentioned. Josh Futterman is a businessman that's been mentioned. He's going to run. Carolyn Maloney might run. Jerry Nadler might run. Scott Stringer might run. Carolyn McCarthy from Long Island has talked about running. So I think that seat is going to be very actively contested in the coming year.
All right. I see Anthony Weiner not running too quickly now to become the mayor of New York. I see Bill Thompson not being able to raise the money. What's your guess?
You know, I think that Anthony Weiner is probably looking at this race and saying, I'd like to stay in Congress. Maybe I'm going to take a pass on it. I think he's probably getting a lot of pressure from Chuck Schumer to do exactly that. But I think Billy Thompson is looking at this race and saying, look, we've got an incumbent mayor. We've got a bad economy. I probably am not going to have opposition in the Democratic primary. And this is my one shot, and I'm going to take it.
We're out of time. I predict Mike Bloomberg will be the next mayor for the next 4 years. There will people who will challenge him, though, on the way he did it, that's for sure. There is a sense of, in this country, there's a sense of fair play, and people question it at times. But in my opinion, he's been a very good mayor. And if he got the Republican line and he's independent, he's got the Democratic, no, he doesn't have to run the
Republican and Independent Party line, and I think that he will ultimately succeed and will have another 4 years.
We're going to bring him on this show, let him talk about issues, and we'll get him feeling about what it is to be like a Republican again. We'll see how he feels to be Republican. You said no Jews are ever Republicans. Good to see you.
He's an independent. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
All right.